Jarbo. Welcome to Stranger Days, the very first episode of my new podcast. Now, this whole show is basically about general news coverage of things that I find to be interesting, as well as talking about some stranger stuff, some darker stuff, some crazier stuff, and then just generally having an interesting conversation about it. I feel that there's a lot of weird things in the world that don't oftentimes get the most coverage, or there's certain things that happen in this world that are just kind of crazy that I want to talk about. And that's the whole point of doing this particular podcast. Now, for those of you who are new, this is going to run Mondays through Fridays at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You guys can always submit your own suggestions to mondayandmatt.com/submit if there's anything there that you want to check out particularly. You may be asking yourself, why am I looking at a snowstorm? It's just I needed a background image because I totally lost the one I was working with. And it looks peaceful. It looks peaceful. You know, it's fall, right? It's fall. We're coming up on, a month into, well, not even a month. It's still the early days of October, but it's snowing right now in the upper Michigan Peninsula, which is what I think probably the reason why I did this is because snowfall is always, I think, a cleansing thing. People like to look at fire as being cleansing. I like to look at snowfall as being cleansing because it covers it. It kind of gives things perspective. And then it doesn't, you can then appreciate what you have underneath it once it goes away. Whereas fire destroys everything. And that is not always a lot of fun. So, all right, let's take a look here at the first story of the day. If I bring this up here. All right. So yesterday, make sure everything's right in the right place. Always first day complications, I should say. So Amy Schumer has found herself once again in the political spotlight. And it's probably, I'm not going to lie, the most interesting thing she's done in years. And probably the one thing that she's very excited about having her name in the paper for. It's not for a movie bombing. That would be, I think, her last couple films. It's not for any kind of interaction on Instagram with someone who is just taking a picture. It's not for some of the comments she's made. It's for the fact that she is fighting for women's rights, which I'm not gonna bemoan her for exercising her right to protest, but I'm still gonna slightly chuckle that she got arrested doing it. Because I think when celebrities go to these events and they get arrested, I always look at it as being more like an on purpose sort of thing, like a photo op sort of thing. So it says Amy Schumer arrested at Kavanaugh protest in D.C., saying Amy Schumer was among 300 individuals arrested at a protest against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. 300 people were arrested. It's a lot of fucking people, right? It's a lot of people. Senate ain't messing around anymore, mostly because I think these people are just like clogging up the hallways, Now, whatever your thoughts on Kavanaugh are, I think still protesting is something that is good for our country. I think that it's something that we probably all need to engage in more, not online, but definitely in person, because going about it in person is probably going to be one of the better ways to really kind of, I think, like get the word out to people, right? Because we spend so much time online that it becomes, I don't know, I personally get run down with online protests, like, oh, another one. But I've gone in and been involved in some real protests about issues that I care about, and I'm like, yeah, okay, like I can get behind this sort of thing in person. Now, the Capitol Police said that 293 protesters were arrested at the Hart Senate Office Building atrium, and 9 were arrested in a demonstration at the 4th floor of the Dirksen Senate Office Building. All were charged with crowding, obstructing, or accommodating, a misdemeanor. Really? So they just, misdemeanors are kind of stupid in my opinion anyway. It's like, oh, here's a slap on the wrist. You did, you silly goose. You silly goose. But also, actress Emily Ratajkowski, says on Instagram that she was arrested at the protest as well. Because, hey, like I said, you want to get that fine Instagram love. You want to make sure your social media presence is up there. You want to go get arrested at one of these things. Saying here, today I was arrested protesting the Supreme Court nomination of Brett Kavanaugh, a man who has been accused by multiple women of sexual assault. Men who hurt women can no longer be placed in positions of power. Kavanaugh's confirmation as a justice of the Supreme Court of the United States is a message to women in this country that they do not matter. I demand a government that acknowledges, respects, and supports women as much as it does men. Now, that is a fine statement. I have no disagreement with that statement, with one caveat. Due process is a thing. Due process cannot be overlooked. And I don't believe due process has been done in this particular situation. I don't. This whole thing's a mess in my mind. But I do believe that we need due process. And at this point, Kavanaugh has only been accused of the act. It's his character that's being called into question more so than a criminal action. So we have to look at it from that perspective where due process is the thing, but then again, the court of public opinion is the thing, no matter how much you like it or don't like it. And so that is going to change things. But when you look at Emily Ratajkowski here, this is her at, at the thing. So she, it looks to me as more like let's go out and get a photo op than it does anything else. Although her thing says, respect female existence or expect our resistance. That's a catchy slogan. And again, it's a tough issue across the board. It is a very tough issue across the board because you want people to have their voice. You want people to have, their thoughts and their opinions but you want there to be fairness. You want there to be true fairness and true due process and true equality. And I get why people are mad here, but I think they're focusing on Kavanaugh. And I think it's projection about some other things, but they're just using this as a lightning rod, which I'm not a huge fan of personally. So it goes on to say here that videos posted to social media, police officers can be seen taking protesters one by one out of the main atrium where the bulk of the protest was taking place. One Twitter user posted a video shortly before reports emerged of Schumer being arrested of the actress, telling the camera, "I think we're going to get arrested." And you can almost just by looking at that thumbnail, you can almost see the elation in her eyes. Oh my God, I'm going to be arrested. Oh my God, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. They're going to talk about me. No one's going to forget that I feel pretty bombed at the box office. It's not going to happen. Again, being arrested for a misdemeanor is fine. Goes on your record for a little bit. It's not, not going to hurt her. It's only going to give her props or give her credit in the activism community. It says here, several photos emerged of Schumer and Ratajkowski that could be seen in a line being escorted by police officers. And again, the only one there who's really making any kind of, I guess you could say, expression is Schumer, almost if she knows the camera's on her, right? I'm going to talk down to the police. I'm going to do this. And then you got the one woman here, though, on the right with the blue collar on, and she's smiling, right? Like she's smiling. Either Amy is trying to say something funny or she's laughing at the situation. But you look at Emily Ratajkowski behind her, Ratajkowski, I always screw her name. And you see her expression. Her expression is kind of blank and nothing really there. It's like, right. Because this doesn't ultimately matter. They know that ultimately this doesn't matter. This is something that gets headlines. It's something that gets press. It's something that gets talked about. I'm talking about it right now. Mission accomplished. But it goes on to say here that thousands attended the event on Thursday to protest Kavanaugh's nomination following an FBI investigation on the sexual allegation levied at him by Christine Blasey Ford. The protesters first gathered outside just after noon, the E. Barrett Prettyman Federal Courthouse where Kavanaugh currently works, before moving to the Hart Senate office. No matter how this goes, they can't keep us down, Schumer said earlier that protest. We will win. A vote for Kavanaugh is a vote saying women don't matter. And again, and that's the rhetoric. I'm not a fan of it. Like, I don't like Kavanaugh. I don't think he should be for the Supreme Court. I think he is specifically brought in for reasons that are to help the president. And that's it, right? I mean, everyone's focused on Roe v. Wade, but I agree with the sentiment there that Roe v. Wade, it can be overturned. There's like 30, 40 more judges that would do it, right? So it's something else going on here. But again, it's always where people choose to shine that spotlight is not always the most accurate or the most, I say the most realistic place to shine it, but they want to shine it where it's going to get the most views. And that doesn't always help the situation. Now it says here, among those arrested, where it's Janet Redmond of Washington, D.C., she said the demonstrators were processed in a park outside of the Russell Senate office building, saying we had folks here who were in line today getting arrested who saw Roe v. Wade happen. So we had people who knew what it was like when we didn't have a choice over our own bodies. and people who have grown up where they've had that choice. So we people cross generations who realize this is a scary time for democracy and a scary time for women of color in particular. Now, Redmond, who says she is a sexual assault survivor, said it was so upsetting to watch Dr. Ford's testimony and then watch the way Kavanaugh disregarded truth. Okay, and then also those, by the way, just so you guys want to know here, those who were arrested were being cited and can pay a $50 ticket to have the charge dropped. She said Schumer was among those arrested and is still being prosecuted. So what we have here is a situation where Schumer is, she's the one everyone's talking about, but she's going to pay $50 and get a misdemeanor like everybody else. That is unless she decided to cause more of a scene to rack up more of a fine because she could pay it, but then she'd get more airtime. It does boil down to however you want to look at it. I really don't know. I really can't tell you. But ultimately, I look at the situation and I'm like this. I watched both Dr. Ford's testimony. I watched Kavanaugh's testimony. And Kavanaugh coming out the way he came out, and understandably so. I mean, a dude who's been accused of heinous crimes, and heinous actions is going to be upset. But when your demeanor at a job interview is to maintain composure because you're meant to be an impartial judge in the highest court in the land, I don't know, man. I don't know. The whole thing's a mess. The whole damn thing's a mess. No matter what happens here, by the way, I just want you guys to realize this. No matter what happens, whether he's confirmed or not confirmed, nobody wins. Nobody wins. This is the last push before the midterm elections is all it really is. Schumer getting arrested is just funny. That's probably the only good thing about it is Schumer getting arrested. But who's her uncle or her cousin? Her cousin is, well, Senator Chuck Schumer, right? Senator Chuck Schumer is going to very much, use this as a platform. Is very much going to use this as a way to, push his own agenda, just like the last time they got together in 2015, I believe. There was a shooting at the movie Trainwreck in Louisiana. A guy went to a theater and opened fire in a theater in Trainwreck, an Amy Schumer movie. And then she came out as being very anti-gun as a result of that. And I don't blame her for having the reaction. Someone went in to a theater of a movie she was at, and I don't think anyone was killed except for him, maybe. But she's been kind of in that political spotlight ever since, trying to use her family members' fame as a way to elevate her own. And let's look at this image here of her fight the power, right? Yeah. So it's all political theater. That's all it is. And I think that's the worst part of it. There are people out there who are victims of sexual assault that want to have a voice. And then you get people like Amy Schumer, who's openly admitted in her own speeches to having sexually assaulted a drunk guy out there fighting for women. I just find it to be a bit hypocritical in that regard. It's some shit. Hold on. Is the chat fading? I might have screwed up something here. Hold on a second. Okay. Hold on. I'm still dealing with the the first day situation here. There's a couple things that I think are messed up for some reason. Okay, hold on. Give me a second here. I was something I forgot to turn on because for some reason the chat keeps going in and out. I don't know why it's fading. It shouldn't be fading. Okay. All right. Where is that at? I'm used to using YouTube, so this is first day screw ups here. Okay. There we go. All right. Font size, hide message after. Oh. There we go. Okay, that should work. Yeah, okay, so yeah, it was fading. Fading, fade. I just turned it off, or I turned it to fade uh later. Oh, no, there we go. This is that one thing. All right. So, yeah, I don't know. This Schumer thing is nuts, man. Because I'm looking at it and it's just like it's all to me, I look at this as nothing more than political theater, right? It's just nothing more than political theater. Completely wasted on most people, completely wasted on most things, and it's just sad. It's just really fucking sad. Because there's problems that need to be worked on. And this isn't it. Yeah, it's fixed now. Yeah, it's fixed. um, was I trying to be Jack Bauer? No, I just woke up, man. I hadn't had caffeine yet. I'm trying to be entertaining. No, I just woken up. So I don't know. All right. Where's the next thing at? I'm trying to find everything else. I got a real fucked up story that's sad as fuck, but I'm trying to find something that's like not as fucked up, but that's still fucked up. Let's see here. All right. I'm trying to. Oh, this is interesting. How long is the article? Whoa, that's Jesus Christ. Hold on, let me find something. There's. All right. There's this is one that I think would be really interesting, but I'm trying to it's a long article. I'm just trying to find if there's a spot where okay. This is a long one, but the story's funnier than shit. Okay. I think I can make it work. I'll make it work for a bit. This will be pretty funny. Okay. All right. There we go. This is the one I was looking at. First days always have problems, right? Always got the issues. Spanking your children is something that's very controversial, right? It is. Spanking your children is something that a lot of parents discuss. Should you do it? How often? How hard? Should you use a spoon or a belt? You know, and as a child of the 80s, I have experienced being swatted with a belt and a spoon. Neither one feels good. So the older I get, I look at how parents treat their kids, I'm not for spanking. I think there's other ways to handle it. Thankfully, one of my girlfriend's friends actually works in early childhood development, so we actually have a lot of tools for how to handle these situations. But apparently, now there's no spanking zones in Detroit. Okay. I mean, look, I don't personally like the idea of spanking, right? I don't. I can understand why people use it as a tool. But this just seems to be going a little bit too far. It says here that naughty kids may soon catch a break in one suburb of Detroit. Madison Heights has declared what amounts to no spanking zones in key public areas, including City Hall, public libraries, police stations, and recreation centers, which is, I guess, fine. You know, you don't want like a public domestic abuse, thing happening. Sure. You want to make sure that if a parent gets real mad at their kid, they can stew on it all the way home before they just unleash the wrath of 1,000 angry gods on that toddler. I mean, I'm not saying they should spank them in public, but I mean, it's like, I think they're doing it because they don't want there to be like this anger buildup, or they think the anger could be like diffused by the time that person gets home. Maybe. I don't know, but if it's outside of key public areas, including the public library, get to the car. The car's a private space. The kid's just going to be walloped on. Now, this may be an affront to anyone following the familiar Judeo-Christian saying, spare the rod and spoil the child. But city council members recently voted 5-1 against the age-old parental advice, saying they passed a resolution to discourage corporal punishment by creating a hit-free zone in at least 10 public parks with signs that say exactly that. The first sign went up Thursday in Civic Center Park near Lanphier High School. Okay, so they legitimately banned hitting in 10 parks, which I'm not against at all. I think part of me is like, is at the point now of going, really? Like, really? Is this where things are at? Is this where things are at this point in time? Oh man, we have to put up signs that say don't hit in public parks. Anyway, let's see. Councilman David Soltis here says, I think it's great. The cost of the city will be modest, even though a dollar figure isn't quite yet available. The resolution carries no penalties or enforcement power, so no mom and dad will get a ticket for slapping a toddler's rump. But the hope is that this blunt signage will get people talking and thinking twice about how they discipline little Sam or Susie, said Soltis, who proposed the idea. So, okay. So is it a ban if there's no consequences? Is it a ban if there's no punishment? It's a shaming campaign is all it is. That's all it is, right? So these no spanking zones or no hitting zones, while in theory are good, and I support them because I don't want to see kids get hit. I do think there are better ways. There's literally nothing there, right? So if you go to a park and you're there with your kid, and you're there and you're watching other parents, right? And you see a little boy, little girl get real, start getting like walloped on by the parent. Are you just gonna go, look at the sign, and they'll be like, oh, I had no idea. I had no idea that I shouldn't hit my child here. Like, it just, to me, it comes across as just, no, the craziest thing. It goes on to say, it's really a non-violence resolution against violence on any level. The resolution defines it as a hit-free zone, as one where no adult shall hit another adult, no adult shall hit a child, and no child shall hit an adult, and no child shall hit another child. Why do those read like fucking commandments, right? You just imagine like a proctor out there. This is a hit-free zone where our rules of conduct for the city park are as follows. No adult shall hit another adult. No adult shall strike a child. No child shall hit an adult, and no child shall hit another child. What does that even, like? It's common sense. But it's like, so no adult shall hit another adult. My immediate thought was, well, there goes the fucking Fight Club on Saturday nights. Thanks, Soltis. What else is there to do in this suburb of Detroit? Listen, they're adults, let them beat the shit out of each other. If they both consent to the fight, not. Anyway, still his aim is to prevent child abuse, said Soltis, a healthcare administrator. As a former emergency and medical technician, he says he was shocked to see how many children had been beaten by adults. After looking up research and reading parenting books, he was shocked again, finding study after study purporting to show that kids who were spanked do worse in schools and may become bullies. And that's entirely possible. I mean, oftentimes when children lash out is due to a lack of communication or a lack of being able to properly express their emotions. Again, my girlfriend used to work for a private school. And so she read a lot of stuff about early childhood development. One of her friends still works there, does early childhood development. And I've edited a lot of her content. So I've listened to her talk about early childhood development. And yeah, I believe that's the case. I believe if we find ways to teach children how to express themselves when they're frustrated and we don't resort to those type of physical acts, then yeah, it will actually foster a better prepared and more mental well-being child versus just beating the crap out of them. So I can understand his reasoning behind it. I'm more or less laughing at the absurdity of putting up signs that are meant to shame people than come with absolutely no other consequences. Now, surveys show that spanking is almost universally practiced nationwide. According to a 2015 study by Child Trends, 94% of American parents of children ages 3 and 4 said they've spanked in the past year, while 76% of men and 65% of women agree with giving a child a good hard spanking as a form of punishment. Is it though? I mean, like here's this kind of a side caveat to that, right? Now, if the 76% of men and 65% of women agree that swatting your kid on the ass is a good way to prevent them from doing something stupid again, why don't we do that with prisons then? Right? It's just kind of a random thought. Like, we don't do that in prisons. We don't take someone for dealing drugs to minors, take them out back, and swat them on the butt. Say no. We throw them in jail. We put them in a long, long, long timeout. Because ultimately, timeouts, it de-escalates a lot of it. There's going to be a temper tantrum. There's things, but then it de-escalates and then you can have that conversation afterward. Striking people, the striking of children, I think is more for the parent than it is for the child. Is to get an immediate reaction that can garner a long-lasting, real crappy result. Now, Soltis says he was spanked as a child, but never struck any of his own 3 children, now aged 14, 23, 27. He says, obviously not every kid who gets spanked turned into a juvenile delinquent, but the research shows that more of the children who turn out badly were punished that way, concluding it's time to raise children differently. And you know what? I absolutely positively agree with that, right? I'm not into the whole like spiritual shit. I'm really not. But there was a guy by the name of Dr. Wayne Dyer, passed away a couple years ago. And he was a spiritual counselor or motivational speaker, however you want to call him. I don't even know how to define this guy. But I'd heard one of his talks one time, and he talked about how if you want to help, if you want to help change children, if you want to help change their mentality for the future, what you got to do is teach them at the age of 5 to meditate for 5 minutes a day. This was his theory, right? To clear your mind, to clear away stress, because we bottle everything up because we don't have proper ways to express ourselves, right? That's why I think mental health takes a big toll in this country, is because we don't properly express ourselves in therapeutic and cathartic ways, and that's an issue. But he says if you teach these kids to meditate for about 5 minutes a day, every day, within a generation, you'll wipe out a lot of problems. And I'm actually inclined to agree with him, because when I'm really stressed out and I can find a way to calm my mind, then I feel a lot better about things and I can focus on things. Whereas when I'm stressed out or I'm frustrated, I might do something stupid. And I think a lot of people are like that. And so I think we need to, I think getting away with spanking is probably going to be a good way to start with that one, but don't do it in a way like this. This is not, shaming people publicly is not how you do it, right? Like putting up these no hit zones in 10 parks and putting up these signs in city halls is not going to be how you stop this problem from happening. All it's going to do is just make people go like, they're going to avoid doing it there, but that's not going to get them to stop doing it elsewhere. Right. And I'm not saying you should assign punishment to spanking one's child. That's a parent's choice and whatever. But this just feels like one of those moments where you're like, well, we have to do something. Might as well be this, because, actually trying to work with people and destigmatize mental health and mental issues as a way to maybe help a generation get an understanding, a fundamental core understanding of how to fix themselves, or at least how to understand their emotions and then deal with those emotions in a healthy way, is clearly going to take too long. So a fucking sign in a park, that's going to do it. His heart's in the right place, but I still think it's I still think it's kind of a dumbass thing. It's not a law. It's just, it's like a rule. Like, don't beat people is the rule, essentially, And I don't think beating the shit out of kids is the answer. I don't think beating the shit out of anyone's the answer. I think if we did more, I think if we did more to teach kids how to deal with these problems, we'd see far less issues. Right? They talk about the issue of like, I'm not trying to equate spanking with like, school shootings, but when you have a situation where you've got these kids that are picked on, right? And they're picked on. And, they look at the kid, what was his name? The Nicholas Cruz kid, right? And he's picked on a lot. Well, what if he was taught coping mechanisms? What if he was taught ways to stand up for himself? What if he was taught karate or taekwondo or kung fu as a way for self-defense? What if he was taught how to meditate or how to breathe deep and deal with anxiety, right? To deal with these things. And that's actually one of the things I'm doing in therapy right now is I'm learning coping mechanisms. as a way to just kind of better, you know, like just deal with situations. And it's helping quite a bit. And I think we need to destigmatize a lot about mental health as a result of that. So I look at the situation, and that's how I feel things could be changed. If we would do more with that, I think we would see this kind of domino effect, but it takes time. And again, it's all about instant gratification, right? That sign is instant gratification. Swatting a kid's ass in public is instant gratification to get that kid to stop, even though it might make the situation worse. Therefore, ramping up the level of spanking is going to only, it's a cause and effect situation. So ultimately, it's really shitty. It's really, really shitty. But let's talk about something else that's really shitty, because this is tragic and this is terrible. And this is something that, again, ties into what I was just talking about with the whole mental health situation, because it says here that an unhappy father rigged a car to explode, killing his 2-year-old son and his friend. Now, this isn't The Onion. This isn't made up. This is real. This happened. This guy killed himself and 2 others because he was unhappy. And it's absolutely fucking tragic. Now, a Pennsylvania father used a homemade explosive device to kill himself, his child, and his friend, authorities announced on Thursday. Saying here, it's a miracle that no other bystanders were seriously wounded or killed, said John Gallagher, the chief of the Allentown branch of the U.S. Attorney's Office. Saying what happened here in Allentown on Saturday night was nothing short of a nightmare. Yeah, it really is. Officials confirmed that 26-year-old Jacob Schmoyer was behind Saturday's explosion that took his life, along with his 2-year-old son Jonathan and his 66-year-old friend David Hallman. Officials from several law enforcement agencies, including the Bureau of Tobacco, Alcohol, Firearms, and Explosives, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and Allentown Police, spoke at a news conference, saying all 3 subjects were inside the vehicle. Schmoyer in the driver's seat, Mr. Hellman in the passenger side of the vehicle, and a baby is in the car seat in the back of the driver's side. Which that kind of sticks out to me, because I don't think you should ever have the child's seat in the back of the driver's side. Anyway, that's fine. Though preliminary lab testing, authorities say it was determined that explosives were placed somewhere near the center console of the vehicle. So this guy was driving his car, had created a homemade explosive device, had it inside the center console, around by the center console, with his friend and his kid in the car, and took them all out. I mean, there's no word for that outside of absolute tragedy. Now, they go on to say here that these were not commercial products, commercial explosives. These were homemade explosives, a couple different types. Officials say that they also discovered Schmoyer had sent 4 letters through the mail the day of the explosion, one of which was sent to Allentown Police Department and 3 others that were sent to family members. Each one detailed the construction of the explosive devices and his plans. This was as premeditated as it gets. I mean, I understand being unhappy and wanting to take that route. I get that. But dude, you got a 2-year-old kid and an innocent bystander. You and a friend. You don't do that. You don't do that. You go off somewhere and you peacefully sunset yourself. That's what you do. All right. There's another story that I came across while looking up today's content about a woman who was dying of breast cancer, gave her dog, who was like her daughter, to a shelter, then went and took her own life. Right. And she shot herself and then also burned her own apartment with her in it. It's weird. But the point is that she knew what she was up against. And this is what she chose to do, how she chose to react. This guy, Jesus, it's terrible. Police say they received the first letter on Tuesday and another one on Wednesday. 2 more were received by Wednesday by the family. Saying here, he was very unhappy with his life, described himself in some negative terms, admitted to a number of other criminal acts, a number of other petty thefts and burglaries, to other criminal acts that he had committed along the way, and indicated a desire to not stick around. Unfortunately, in these letters, he described his intent to take Mr. Hallman and his son with him. Why? Why? That's all. That's why. That's such a cowardly fucking way to go out, isn't it? Isn't that just a cowardly way to go out? You sit there and you're like, fine, you want to take yourself out. You admit you've done some stupid things. Okay, fine. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has done stupid shit. All right. I get being unhappy. I get owning up to your mistakes. I get that crap. But writing a letter going, I've done these petty ass crimes, petty thefts to burglaries to other criminal acts. How bad were these criminal acts that you decided to take out 2 people with you? Jesus. It's a sad day for all families. There's really no way to describe what runs through someone's mind when they're doing this, but we're confident that we've determined who is involved and who is responsible, and that is Jacob Schmoyer. Police say they are awaiting the final lab work to come in for the explosives and letters, which they're hoping to have in the next couple of days. They're asking if anyone who finds an item they believe to be related to the incident not touch it and report to the cops right away. And yeah, that's true. And that's the car. That's the vehicle. That's what's left of that car. I don't know how well you guys can see that. Look at that right there. That's what's left of the car. This dude was not fucking around. And looking at that wreckage right there, it is absolutely insane that no one else is injured. It's so good that no one else was injured. But Jesus Christ, dude. That's fucking terrible. And then, of course, just as a side note here, look at the top popular story here. Classes canceled after 2 Arapahoe high school student suicides in the past week. What's going on with our world? Like, what's going on with our world right now? You know, it does. I think a lot of this ties into mental health. I really honestly do think it ties into mental health. I think that we've got to do more as a society, as a culture, to find ways to fix this shit. I do. I think we do. If not, then shit, man. Like shit. It's fucked up. I'm like, I don't have words for this story. I'm trying to think of words. I'm trying to understand. I mean, I'm trying to understand. You know, I think also understanding is a way to identifying problems and, you know, why people do these things. Ah, Jesus. I just feel really terrible for the family. Although there was no mention of the mother. So that's interesting. But hopefully no one else will get hurt. There's no other hidden bombs, and I don't know. Hopefully something like this will never happen again. All right, let's talk about this shit right here. Let's talk about male feminists and how fun they are. They're always fun, aren't they? I've been talking about male feminists for a long time. And while I don't want to focus a lot of my stuff these days on SJW crap, I had to kind of talk about this one here because this has been blowing up the last couple days. And a lot of people have been talking about it, and it's just funny as shit to me because this is the absolute state of where things are on the left, right? I mean, this guy right here with this Toronto man identified as Jordan Hunt, you know, he goes to show you how intolerant people can be. Not everyone who is on either side of the political debate are intolerant, violent narcissists. But this guy, I think he is. Now, a man claiming to defend women's rights caught on camera kicking female anti-abortionist, right? In which he did. So Toronto police are investigating after a man was caught on camera kicking an anti-abortion protester, supposedly in the name of defending women's right to choose. But Jordan, did you weren't defending her right to choose not to be kicked? Now, investigators told CP24 that the incident occurred on the afternoon of September 30th at the intersection of Bloor Street West and Keele Street in Toronto's West End. In this video, which has since gone viral, a man in a purple hooded sweater with a flower behind his ear is seen confronting a group of mostly female anti-abortion activists. Holding signs on the sidewalk, he asked the woman filming about her opinion on impregnated rape victims choosing abortion. That's actually usually one of the hotter topics that comes up as a result of this, right? That's one of the hotter topics that comes up. And he says here, if somebody gets raped by somebody and they're like, I'm a 16-year-old and I can't have this baby. Think you should keep it? And the woman responds back with, it's a baby, which is her right to have that thing. And those discussions between anti-abortion advocates and pro-choice advocates are insane. I've watched it take place in the city streets of Portland multiple times, never resulting in the violence, but very much resulting in loud shouting matches, which is ultimately the point. People go to these things to provoke and to get the reaction that they got out of Jordan Hunt here. I'm not excusing his actions, but I'm saying that the person who was hit, I think she went there with that intent, to be honest with you. Now, as she starts to further explain her position, the man in the purple sweater sticks out his tongue at her and kicks her. The camera then loses focus. In the background, voices can be heard shouting to call the police while the man says he meant to kick her phone. Police say the suspect fled the scene before officers arrived, and the woman suffered non-life-threatening injuries in the attack. The man in the video, who's been identified on social media as Jordan Hunt, has been fired from his job as a hairdresser at a salon located in Toronto's Parkdale neighborhood, according to Instagram posts by the business. Noble 101 Studio 101 announced that Hunt has been let go after he was caught on camera assaulting an innocent bystander, which was going to happen. That's just going to happen. But this is the video if you haven't seen it yet. Oops. My bad. There we go.
It's hard to confuse everybody.
But still, it's better to be, you want to kill him with kindness, remember?
That's right. What?
They actually have people filming you the whole time. Which
Cool.
is why I say kill with kindness.
Guess what? Hey.
Destruction of private property. It's against the law.
Somebody gets raped by somebody and they're like, I'm a 16-year-old and I can't have this baby. Think you should keep it?
It's a baby.
Yeah.
If someone was raped and she gave birth and she decided to kill her 3-year-old child.
I meant to get your phone.
Someone call the
Meant
cops.
to get your phone.
Do not touch me. Someone call the cops.
Yeah, again, these kind of situations, I tend to look at them more from like, you go there, you know, filming everybody, you want to get hit. You want the kind of viral outburst. And I'm not agreeing with his actions. I'm saying that was the intent of going to those kind of things. That's why people film all the time. Like, I've gone to these events, I've gone to just public events down in Portland or even in Olympia here or in Los Angeles even, right? And you see people out there with like the aborted fetuses on signs and everything else. You see all this stuff. And then you realize, wait, all they wanted, they're out there for attention. They want this kind of reaction. That's exactly why they're always filming. Although what's really funny though in the video is she says, kill him with kindness, right? And then the dude does a roundhouse kick to what appears to be like the woman's lower half, and whatever, and then she drops her phone. And then he's like, I meant to kick your phone. And then he takes off running. And it's so stupid. Him being fired from the job, by the way, I'm not against him being fired. He openly struck this woman who was filming on a public street, who was not doing anything, even if her intent was for this sort of thing to happen, which I do believe. I'm sorry. Every time I see these things happen, every time there's an interaction like this and there's phones that are out like that, you want that to happen because you know exactly what's going to happen. The media response is going to be the same. The online response is going to be the same. It's never about having a conversation. It's just about one-upping your opponent. And this dude, this Jordan Hunt guy, let's be fair. He is the most useful idiot that that pro-lifers have ever encountered. This dude was just saying, kill him with kindness. And then like not more than 20 seconds later, hit the woman and knocked her phone down and then took off running and in a sense lost his job. And I'm not against him losing his job. I'm not against this guy getting arrested and being charged with domestic abuse or domestic assault. And the reason why I'm not is because he did it. He did it. You have to know better in these situations than to act like a fucking moron. And you see, and people go there with the intent to get that kind of moronic behavior caught on tape. It's why it's really sad as this sounds. It again is another shitty part of our society. It really is. It's another shitty part of our society where what we have here is a situation where people go to these public events. They want to go to these public protests. They want to get this kind of crap on film one way or another, right? I mean, what was the event that was a couple years ago? There was a protest in Minnesota over an unarmed, no, he was an armed black man that was shot and killed by police. And there was Black Lives Matter protests. And two dudes from 4chan rolled up, wearing like face masks. And they rolled up, they were filming the whole time in order to post the video to 4chan in order to get that kind of recognition, right? And so when you see these sort of things happening, and they ended up, like, I think, opening fire on, like, the crowd because they got cornered, I think, and, like, wounded one person. The point I'm trying to make is that when you have these situations where people are gathering like this and everyone's got their phones out, their phones aren't out for protection. The phones aren't necessarily out for protection. The phones are out specifically in order to capture a moment like this for the exact intent to use it as propaganda to fuel your own movement. Well, look at the violence on the other side. The right does it with Antifa all the time. And I'm not trying to defend Antifa here. They play into that trap because people know that if you're, it goes both ways. It's so stupid. It's so ridiculously stupid. But we live in the age of everyone's got a phone with a camera on it. Everyone's recording something. Everyone's trying to get one up on you constantly. So it's just it's our society, and it's a sick part of our society. Debate is dead. Discussion is dead. All that matters now is who can inflict the most damage, and then who can get it the fuck on tape. That's the way I see that, at least. All right. That's what I got for stories right now. We can go back to looking at this amazing snowstorm that I just found. It's a peaceful, relaxing snowstorm. All the crazy topics. Let's look at something good. Let's look at something good. All right. Let's take a look here. Okay. So now that we're free. All right. No, I wasn't saying she was in a short skirt. She was asking for some sex assault. What are you talking about? I'm saying when you go to those events. So she started filming after he defaced some of their signs. Oh, wait. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Okay. That's fine. Let's see. She might have something happen, but as a male feminist, it says volumes that he didn't think twice. Yeah. No. I get that. I get that, Porcelain. I completely agree with you on that one. I think both sides are always faulting these situations. I do. After I've been covering this shit for years, and no one goes there with the intent to actually like get their point across. They just want the political points. But that guy should not have done it. He's so stupid to even remotely do that. Yeah, you're right. So no, I've gone and I filmed the protests, and I was checking out what other people were doing. I wasn't actively engaging in the protest. When you get in and you're actively engaging, I was there as a bystander. There's a different situation. When you go in there and you're looking and you're in someone's face with the phone and all that kind of crap, or you hold something provocative, you're looking to engage in those kind of discussions. I view it as no other thing than that now. Period. 100%. So what about that student that drove into school? Yeah, well, PC was what I caught something about that. So everything. So I think I've seen other events where people have gone to these types of protests and they want that type of interaction because they use it as propaganda to fuel more donations, right? It's why you can't engage at all. Like, you just can't engage when you go to these events, period. Like, I'm not agreeing with what happened. I'm not defending the guy. I'm not criticizing her. I'm merely saying that I think they went there with that specific intent. Ultimately, they're fine with it, right? Because she comes out on top. She comes out on top because everyone's trying to get a gotcha moment. Everyone's trying to find a way to get you in that regard. Well, crazy old man from Oz, you are more than welcome to take off and find something else. So this is you are more than free to not be here. That's totally fine. Let's see here. I don't think I'm wrong. Footprints and chalk. I don't think I'm wrong. I think people go out there to specifically get in this kind of debates, get in this kind of fights. But yeah, PC Wizard, what are you talking about with the drive to school and stabbed other students? I didn't hear. I heard something about that. Let's see here. Let me take a look. Is this the... Which one is this? I don't... I found a story here from September. Students stab another with a comb pick on the first day of school, but I don't think that's accurate. All right, calm down. Don't need to fight in the comment section. Thanks. Have a good one, man. Wait, hold on. There's a Black Lives Matter tag to it. I don't. You gotta. Oh, thank you very much, Seaberry, for the 100 bits. Appreciate that. Thank you. I'm still trying to figure out all the Twitch stuff here and Streamlabs shit. That might not have popped up here. I should have that. I gotta figure this thing out. I still don't understand Streamlabs very well. Okay. Well, okay. Do you have a PC Wizard? You got to tell me the exact place where you want to be at. I'll check it out there. So, do you have an actual school name I can look up? I don't know. Because I don't know what you're talking about here. That's the thing. You got to tell me. If you want me to look it up, it's... I don't know what you're talking about. If anyone knows, let me know. The whole setup of a stream is deceptively complicated. Yeah. Well, I'm more used to YouTube and stuff like that, and I always keep it simple. I was working with people to get a better thing. Yeah, take a look for it. Let me know. Let me know. Anyone here? I got to wrap up in about probably 5-10 minutes. Get my daughter up. Anyone here check out Venom last night? I actually went and saw it. It was pretty good. Yeah, I just thought a snowstorm would be kind of fun. It's more of a calming video. I didn't have a graphic made up for today, so yeah, you don't see that. It's like realistic Skyrim. You're confident today will be a good day. I'm glad, fake Brett Kavanaugh, that you are confident today will be a good day. I'm hoping that today's a good day for you. I think it's going to be an interesting day to see what happens with politics, but that's going to be interesting. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's what's the word I want to use here? We're definitely in a weird situation where we're going to see a lot of crazier shit go down. Let's see here. Did I hear about the little boy who died protecting his sister from his mom's molester boyfriend? No, I didn't. Venom PG-13 or Venom movie, pick one. You know, I gotta say though, like I saw Venom last night. I have a review up on $3 reviews. I actually liked it. The last half of it. The first half was like a little bit too long in the tooth, getting to the point, which, I mean, if you've ever heard me ramble on, obviously that's the thing. But it's one of those things where you kind of laugh at like when it gets to the good shit. The good shit's there. I would say wait for the unrated DVD, because that's going to come out and that's going to be a lot better as a result. I think it's going to be a lot more interesting, and it's going to have a lot more violence, which is what a lot of people want. So there's that one. But all right, yeah, let's see. Eventually, what I like to do is when I get the format down more, this is first day. So when I get the format down more, I'll be playing with it this weekend a bit, and then we'll be back on Monday at 8 a.m. When that happens, then I'll be able to hopefully start finding a way to integrate in some other factors. I'd like to eventually bring on guests and have conversations and things like that. Yeah, I'm a dude 444. Yeah, you should definitely see it. Villain. Yeah, Sony. It wasn't that Sony cheated you out of an R-rated movie. I looked into it a bit more. They're actually able to. They're actually able to look away from. Or they're actually able to. What is it? They never fully confirmed R-rated. I think many of us assumed R-rated because of like Venom or because of Logan and Deadpool. But they were always playing it safe. And then I'm watching the end credits and it's all like produced by Avi Arad and Amy Pascal. And I'm all like, get rid of him. Get rid of him. I know you're Adam. I just didn't know if you want me to say your name. So, oh. So, let's see. What about who is Tamara Chambers? I have no idea. Oh, is that the is Tamara Chambers was nostalgia critic, right? Is that what that is? I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't watch it. I don't watch a lot of stuff. People always ask me, "Oh, what do you know about this YouTuber?" And I'm all like, "No." A lot of the older YouTubers, like from like 06 to 2000 and maybe 13, I didn't know. When YouTube first started, I was working on trying to get into Hollywood. So I was doing film school and I was doing films and short films and web series and stuff and documentaries. And that's what I was aiming on. That's what I was working towards getting to. Well, no, because you change your name so many times. Adam, you change your name so many times. So it could be whatever. But all right, guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap this thing up here. So it's 9 a.m. Try to keep these things a little bit on the short side. If you missed any of the stories and you want to catch up on them later on, the full upload will be up over on, I think it's Mundane Chats, but the segments will be clipped out for Mundane Matt. I'll see you guys on Monday morning at 8 a.m. Remember, you can submit your stories to mundanematt.com/submit. And I will definitely talk to you guys later on. Have yourself a great day and peace out.